Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'd like to thank you all for tuning into the show. Got my crew with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we are coming your way with the 76th edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. About to do things a little different this week. Instead of us touching on, typical news topics for the week, we're about to actually get into our annual DKM Awards. We'll just give out some awards to some athletes that we felt were deserving for each category that we're about to present. So, first category that we're about to get into is favorite news story that we felt was the best for the year. Guys, what was your favorite news story?
For me, I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs winning the World Series. 108 years of agony. That's a long time to wait for a championship. And, they had, the Steve Bartman accident multiple years ago and a lot of pain that led to this moment, but they got a lot of promise in the last couple of years. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, the leadership of David Ross, and a lot of things came together. Joe Madden coming over as, the manager. It was pretty incredible watching these lovable losers turn into World Series champions, coming from someone who's not even a Cubs fan. I mean, you kind of had to want history to be broken here. Just realizing that, if any of my teams ever win 108 years without a championship, it'd be pretty special to see them win. I'm kind of waiting on my Lions right now. So I understand what it is to wait for a championship. And to see the Cubs finally get one was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun one there. For me, from Ty went to the happy story. I'm going with the downer one. I know the category is favorite story, but I feel it's kind of the most lasting and impactful story of the last year or so, and that's the Colin Kaepernick saga, which is still going to this day.
Yeah, for about a year now. So
yeah. So it's transition. It's gone from him initially taking his stand, or knee in this case, and getting all the backlash. Gaining a starting role because he was a backup when this started, and going to the end of the season, and now with him struggling to get a job, even with other quarterbacks that are lower caliber to him getting jobs, and news coming up as of even today where owners are. It's coming to light that it's not talent or anything else like that. Is seriously, do they want their teams to have to deal with the possible fan backlash and media pressure that would come along with signing him? So, the story has legs, and it's still going to go possibly for another year.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes until he decides to call it quits.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him.
Yeah, I went with the same as Darnell here, with Colin Kaepernick taking the knee. It's always, we talk about sports, the key thing in sports is, always, who's going to win, we focus on the numbers and everything like that, who's scoring the most touchdowns, who's putting the ball in the rim the most and all that. But, here's an individual right here, had a pretty good season. Could have been better, could have been worse, but here was a guy that was making pretty good money in the NFL, but decided, this is something bigger than football out there. People are getting mistreated, people getting killed and whatnot. So just decided to take a stand. So a lot of people were mad at him about it and whatnot, said crazy, racist comments, getting death threats, all types of things. But the guy is standing firm for what he believes in. He just wants to help. He took a stand on the field, but this is a guy that, put in work off the field. He gave his money to a lot of companies and whatnot out there that needed help, to help people, travel the world to help people as well. So, Colin Kaepernick, is just a stand-up guy. He's a guy that just, backed up, for what he stood up for. So, gotta give it to him. I just really appreciate him taking the time to not just worry about, just focus on winning and collecting a check, but just helping people. So, got to give it to him. Any other comments on this, guys?
Yeah, I guess I'll touch real quick a second on that Kaepernick story. It's not too often that a lot of sports stories stand the test of time. I think both of the ones we mentioned definitely will be talked about for quite some time.
Yeah.
One being for more historical reasons, the other being for social justice reasons. And I do think it's great that Kaepernick's willing to take a stand for what he chose to, or take the knee, like Darnell said, for the issue of his choice. I just wonder how that's going to affect athletes moving forward. As much as, the Cubs winning the World Series is a great story too, that's not going to have an effect on people.
Yeah.
It's not going to have a major effect on how players choose to speak. Now the Kaepernick story, I just think it's going to be interesting in the next, even sports calendar year, if we want to start that with football, how a lot of these athletes are going to choose to handle, whether it's a social justice issue or say there's, a natural disaster that happened and an athlete says something about that. I'm going to find it super interesting to see how athletes choose to handle more world problems moving forward.
Yeah. Just to add something to that too, this week, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, so they were discussing whether or not they should add them. I would really love to see Baltimore, if they could, to get Kaepernick on the team. Just looking at the history of Baltimore, I'm a Ray Lewis fan. This guy doesn't have a clean record at all. He was on trial for murder, and Jamal Lewis, who was another great running back for him, he was having his trouble, with the justice system and whatnot. So, Ravens gave those guys a chance. I would like to see them give Kaepernick a chance. So that would be really good if he could start his career over with the Baltimore Ravens. I would like to see that. So, all right, guys. Anything else for this one?
Well, I think we covered it.
All right. Up next, we're about to get into the Farewell Award, or also known as the Best Athlete to Retire this year. Who did you guys put for that?
You can start this one, Darnell.
All right. For this one, I went with a female and male counterparts on this one. For female, I went with Miesha Tate. She was one of those building blocks for female MMA. She never got as famous as a Rousey or a Gina Carano, but I mean, she was always a grinder, always in the top half of her division. She did gain championships in Strikeforce, and just before retiring in the UFC, she did get to the top of that mountain and got a UFC belt. But then after losing the title and losing the follow-up fight to Raquel Pennington, she fell on the sword there and said that if the fire was extinguished, she was done. Did it in a very professional way, and she's made a nice transition into commentating on the sport for Fox Sports. So I just wanted to give her that notoriety for being a legend of the sport in her own right. And on the male side, I went with Big Papi, David Ortiz, long-time cleanup hitter, home run basher for the Red Sox. It's just, I think he was one of the best to ever do it, especially on the offensive side of the field. So wanted to give him that recognition too.
Yeah, I let Darnell go first there because I'm going to piggyback on him. Another great thing about Big Papi was he was always a good soundbite. He always had something good to say, great in the locker room, he, always seemed to be one of the more lovable guys in the league. And that's, as fans, something you love to see. Like to see, a guy who's willing to joke around and, have a great time, but also get it done on the field too. For me, one of the more memorable moments of Big Papi was when they were down 3-0 to the Yankees. They came back, took that series 4-3. First team in baseball, I believe, to ever come back from 3-0. And he just hit clutch hit after clutch hit. And that's something that's always stuck with me for him. He always seemed to be a clutch type player, a lot of walk-offs, just big hits. And, he was in the league for a while. He stood the test of time, and, always enjoyable to watch, always enjoyable to hear in an interview. It's weird not seeing him in a Red Sox uniform this year, but, great player, miss watching him, and that's why I give him the award.
Well, I'm not a Boston Red Sox fan, so I got to go with my Yankees guy, A-Rod. I know a lot of people hate him, but, he helped bring championships.
Yeah, you mean A-Royd?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like him, I was reading stories not that long ago about him and Jeter, still going at it and whatnot, but, 0.295 batting average, over 3,000 hits, 696 home runs, over 2,000 runs batted in. This guy, put in the work. He's gonna be tainted with the whole steroids thing, for sure. But, the guy really, when he went out there, you can tell he's passionate about the sport and what he does. So, I got to give that to A-Rod. There's no disrespect to Ortiz, but he wore the wrong jersey. So, also, Darnell, I do like your pick for Misha Tate. I can agree with you on that one as well for the women. What she did to help bring females into mixed martial arts was just tremendous. She, like you said, she doesn't get the respect and recognition that Rousey has gotten in the sport, but she's definitely one of the pioneers for the sport. But another guy sticking to UFC, this is one that it was shocked me when he first announced his retirement. But Anthony Rumble Johnson, this guy could have went down as one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. Did not get the belt, but this guy was going in the ring, knocking people out left and right. So very great athlete to watch. Just very entertaining to watch in the ring. Always had to keep your eyes glued on the guy because he can knock you out in a split second. So that was just a guy I had to mention. That was very shocking to just hear about his retirement because I still believe he had a lot left in the tank. But, had some other business ventures he wanted to get into. So, but all right, guys, anything else for this award?
I think all the names we gave were pretty deserved.
Yeah.
Except maybe
A-Rod for the Hall of Fame, guys. We got to get him in there. So.
Yeah. Mark McGuire. Yeah. I don't think Mark McGuire's in yet. So. Gotta wait for that.
All right, guys. For Rivalry of the Year, who wants to start this off?
I'll give it a go here. I went with Duke, North Carolina. I know Trey kind of got his first real taste of it this year, and he enjoyed it. I remember before their first meeting this year, they had played 96 games. Each team had won 46 games, and each team had scored 7,437 points. That's unbelievable. The odds of that happening are bizarre. You've played almost 100 games with equal wins and equal points. I don't ever remember that happening in any other two-team sport. To me, that's incredible. And those games are always hype, playing, at Cameron and at the Dean Dome, these games never disappoint. The players bring it all. They split the regular season like they typically do. And I just love Duke, North Carolina. Whenever they play, I'm always pumped. It's must-watch TV for me. And this year, both teams had some really good players. We were looking at Kennedy Meeks, Justin Jackson, Joel Berry for North Carolina. We were looking at Jason Tatum, Grayson Allen, Luke Kennard for Duke. And, those are just some of the bigger names in college basketball. And that's why I absolutely love it. They always produce names, two Hall of Fame coaches. Just incredible. And North Carolina ended up going on to win the national championship this year. So, those two teams playing, just must watch TV, and I loved it.
You can go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just for me, I put John Jones, Daniel Cormier. This was just a very interesting, rivalry between these two. I know, DC, I wish we could have talked about it more with time. We had to do this, and then we got, NCAA, we're going to get into next week. So, would have liked to talk about the fight, but it was just weird between these two because you have Daniel Cormier. He's the clean cut individual, said the right things, handled his business right and all that, but he was the bad guy in a lot of people's hearts. And then you had John Jones, made mistake after mistake after mistake. One of the reasons why this fight couldn't happen earlier than expected was because, he tested positive for a substance and whatnot. But he was the good guy for a lot of people's eyes coming into this fight. John Jones, he went in there, he handled business the second time. He sealed it off 2-0. He was the first person to take DC down, and he was the first person to actually finish DC. Just one thing that I find interesting about this, John Jones said that, he just feels as if right now is his time. John Jones is a great fighter, but I just think I feel bad for Daniel Cormier in a way because I think a lot of people are going to overlook his greatness due to John Jones. John Jones, no question about it, he can easily go down as one of the greatest fighters in the history of the UFC, but Daniel Cormier, this guy was just an absolute beast. He wrestle, could knock you out, do everything in the octagon. But you just met John Jones, and I really just think, this loss is gonna, just put a hamper on his career because a lot of people are not really gonna look at him see him as truly how great he really is. So, went into the fight, the second one, both of them handled business, but, like I said, Jones was the one to get victorious. But this was just great, just seeing these two in the ring. I doubt this would be a part 3, just Jones winning both fights, but, just how each other were portrayed, one's the bad guy's actually the good guy, and the good guy's actually the bad guy. And I just, I just feel bad for DC, man, because I just really think a lot of people, are truly gonna just miss out on just how good this guy was, just due to John Jones.
Yeah, good picks for both of you guys. You can't go wrong with Duke UNC. This traditional rival there, so it's always going to be good. And then Jones DC, they've been going back and forth for years. We finally got the payoff from it this past weekend. And yeah, Trey, like you said, it was always an awkward rivalry. I look at it just kind of a sign of the times. Everybody likes the anti-hero.
Yeah.
Not the clean cut good guy. So, that made people lean more to Jones. And also in the fight game, Jones has a more exciting style. And I think that leads to some of it too.
Yeah.
But still, like I said, overall good picks. I went a little,
yours was
outside. Yeah. I went a little outside the box with mine instead of making it direct competition. They competed a few times, but I made mine KD versus Russ. The story was there, with the Thunder blowing the 3-1 lead to Golden State. KD making the decision to go to Golden State. That rubbed some people the wrong way, and of course turned Oklahoma City against him, and split the country basically about whether he made the right decision or not there. And even though the games weren't very close when they played each other, it was still like must see TV. If you watch the intensity when they were playing each other, you would think it was a 1-point game at all times or tied.
Yeah.
The way they were going back and forth, and it was an enjoying experience to watch it, even though the Warriors were smashing them every time. But just to see those two like trying to prove dominance, even if it can be through their teams, just trying to show that I was the better one playing each other, even though nobody went and said that directly. You could just see they were trying to prove it on the court, and I just thought it was amazing to watch.
Yeah, I'll kind of give I don't want to call it a co-award, because for me it's not a co-award, but I guess it's like a second tier award, because it follows that. Like, what did you guys think about, Oklahoma City versus Kevin Durant? Just the city itself, with the whole cupcake and, and then I guess you could say Golden State versus the city of Oklahoma City, because then Golden State Warriors answered with, actually baking cupcakes and eating them. And who was it? Draymond Green had the cupcake hat.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the sub rivalry to that KD Russ rivalry.
Yeah.
And, it was like the whole Cleveland LeBron thing all over again.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely an interesting side note to it. And, you feel for the fans in Oklahoma City because, they lost their favorite son, basically, to the Warriors. And, they were heartbroken. So they turned on him and tried to call it. But, I mean, it's basically like they ended up trolling themselves, because everything they threw at KD, he came out on top. Yeah. And then to top it all off, they won the title. Like, I at least feel like Russ still could get some redemption because he won the MVP. So it's like, hey, I got the award for de facto possibly being the best player in the league. And I did something that hasn't been done since Oscar Robertson. So, he at least got to come away some with his head held high. But, Oklahoma City as a whole, they took quite a beating over the year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I guess to add on to that, we're also in a league of channel forget who you are.
Yeah.
And, KD winning the championship is easily the last laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Westbrook winning MVP, it's like, yeah, that's great. And he had a heck of a season. But I don't think that'll hold much water when you kind of throw the verbal jabs back and forth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, KD can always just say scoreboard and, I got this ring right here.
Yeah.
But do you guys feel like there will always kind of be, an asterisk by that? Like KD, it's like, oh yeah, but he went to Golden State. Just like there's an asterisk by LeBron winning one in Miami. Well, his first one. It's like, well, LeBron had to join, Chris Bosh and all that. Like, for me, there's not. But do you guys feel like there will always be like that cloud hovering over that? That's kind of like, well, he did have to go to, Golden State.
Me
I won't say
personally,
always.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on the person, but history kind of always clouds things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, you guys were a little young, but I mean, I remember in the mid '90s when Rodman went to the Bulls, everybody was just like, "This isn't even fair."
Oh, yeah.
I don't even want to count these. This isn't even a real season. And he won 70 games, like 72 games. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So, but people still, like, now when you go back and look, it's just like, hey, Mike got 6 rings. Nobody says, well, he had Pippen and Rodman. Like,
Yep.
So I just think, like, once that next generation comes and, especially the transitional generation that still sees that the end of KD's prime going into things, like they'll still just look at him like, yeah, he got a ring. He's one of the greats. Because I mean, even if you look at it now, like some people still try to point out LeBron's first ring, especially when he does stupid things like saying he never played for a super team. That has to be brought back up. But a lot of that had gone back down. Yeah. But I mean, but people they look at LeBron now and go, he's a 3-time champion. Or, so yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I think we've come to the clear realization that no player can do it on their own. I mean, MJ couldn't do it on his own. LeBron couldn't do it on his own. Larry Bird couldn't even do it on his own. He needed some key moments from other players. Like
all of those greats, they had another great with them winning titles. Like after like basically 81 or so, like you had to have multiple great players.
Oh, yeah.
And probably even before then, it's just, you know, I'm not that old, so I can't call out every team.
Yeah. So and I completely agree. You know, it's just the fact that you need some help. But I think it's sad that we're not willing to at least admit the fact that, like, it's okay to need help.
Okay, guys, anything else to add to this?
Nope.
No.
All right. Up next, we have the upset of the year. Since I think we all got the same thing, but it's, it's Mississippi State.
A sellout crowd in Tampa for the national championship rematch.
It's Mississippi State deciding to, go out there and
they didn't decide.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they
went out and did it.
they did go out there and do it. Yeah. But go out there and upset the Lady Huskies. So 66-64 in overtime. Huskies had a 111 game winning streak going into this one, and Mississippi State just went in there, did their thing, and won. So I think a lot of people were shocked by this one for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that game you guys actually remember, but pivotal moment in the overtime. UConn had the ability to hold the ball for the last shot, and they took a shot with like 12 seconds left. Very uncharacteristic for a Gino Auriemma team. Yeah. And I remember saying, this is the defining moment, and I won't be shocked if they lose. And then Mississippi State comes down and makes a shot with like 3 seconds or 2 seconds or something crazy. But like, I just remember sitting there going like, that's kind of a sad way to lose it for UConn. Like a moment where you should know better. And Gino Auriemma, mastermind coach, he gets the L, and it's not even like really his fault. Like, I'm sorry, but that's a moment where one person's not really thinking and tries to be the hero, and they just try to be the hero.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, we're looking at a great win for Mississippi State. They hung in there when a lot of other teams failed to even keep up. Mm-hmm. You have to recognize that, taking them to overtime, there's a victory there in itself. But to actually pull out the win, get to the national championship game, that was awesome. That was awesome. It was a good win. Great. I enjoyed watching that game. I remember thinking this game is the national championship. But UConn had a great run, and it would eventually have come to an end, but for it to come to an end in that way seemed a little unfortunate for me. Like, I would have liked to have seen it be a moment where you don't look at it and say UConn lost it, not necessarily Mississippi State won it. But you also have to give the credit because, like I said, Mississippi State was there, they hung in, and they ended up pulling out the W.
Yeah, I mean, they put themselves in a position to win, so credit to them.
Yep. All right, guys. Anything else to add for this one?
It'll be interesting to see what the next streak is for UConn women.
Yeah.
No. it's going to fire back up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sure. All right, guys. What was your favorite game? I'll start this one off. I had Alabama versus Clemson 2 for the playoff. The first time these guys met, was an instant classic, and this one was another one. Alabama had a little story going on there with their coaching. Lane Kiffin was getting ready to depart, and they brought in Sarkisian. A lot of people were worried about this, but Alabama started off the game pretty good. They came into the fourth quarter with a 10-point lead, and then that was when Clemson started getting things together. They scored 21 in the fourth. Particularly, a lot of people were mad about the last play of the game where Clemson refused to just get a touchdown. Some people complaining about the pick that Clemson used to get the touchdown, but at the end of the day, they won. This was just a great game. Clemson won 35-31. Great plays from both teams out there. Both teams played hard. So, a lot of, Bama fans were upset about it, but it was a joy to watch.
Yeah, go ahead, Darnell.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was a great game to watch. I wish the outcome would have been different personally, but had a good time watching it. I mean, anytime a game comes down to pretty much the last play, you gotta your hands, and they were throwing heavyweight shots back and forth. Alabama's running game was doing some work, and then then you had Watson just stepping up and being the amazing player that he is, working the team downfield with his throws to Williams to, get him down there and get in position to win. So, amazing game to watch. For myself, though, I was split, but I know Ty has one, so I will go with my other choice. I'll say the Super Bowl. Not the whole game, I guess.
Second half.
Yeah, the second half, the game inside the game, watching the comeback happen. That was the amazing part. And, just had crazy stuff going on through that game. And, the story in itself of seeing Atlanta blow a lead like that, heartbreaking for the city of Atlanta, who was another one of those destitute cities looking for a Super Bowl. But, Tom Terrific came back and did it again and, probably ticked off Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll quickly touch on both of your guys' college football national championship, final second play. You can't ask for much more than that, really, in any national championship game. Like you said, the pick play, the quote unquote pick play. We've seen it run constantly, but we haven't seen it run for a national championship. And, Dabo pulled it out. And Deshaun Watson just hit the out route and dude walked into the end zone. It was incredible. I think we all, I know you guys bigger Alabama fans. We're hoping for a little bit of a different outcome there, but we all appreciate the game for what it was. One of the better national championships in our lifetime. And I think at the end of the day, we're all happy with the fact that it was actually a game and good content rather than, your team winning. Yeah. And for, the Super Bowl, you say the second half, but it took the first half to get that second half. So you kind of do have to say it was the whole game. A lot of people think Atlanta had it in the bag, and, I'll admit it. I was sitting there in my Tom Brady jersey, poured some Jack Daniels and said, what's Tom? Seriously, I said, what's Tom going to do? I didn't know that there was much he could do with the way that Falcons offense just seemed to be moving down the field. And I don't know, like that, it seemed like the second half of that whole NFL season and all through the playoffs, that Falcons defense was playing out of their mind. Like they knew what to do and when to do it. But then, like you said, Darnell, Tom Terrific came out of came out of the phone booth and took over. Him and the brilliance of Bill Belichick, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could say Josh McDaniels. On that offensive side of the ball, they seemed to call the right plays, and some fortune came their way. I know you're going to allude to it a little later, so I won't bring it up, but heck of a Super Bowl, heck of a game. It's one people are going to talk about for a while. Like you said, City of Atlanta still looking, still searching. In all sports, really, since the 90s.
Yeah.
So hopefully something comes their way pretty soon. But my game of the year, I'm going World Series Game 7 between the Cubs and the Indians. We had a 9th inning home run by the Indians to force extra innings. The game was in Cleveland. There was a rain delay that lasted about 40 minutes. So it kind of left even more suspense to the suspense that already was a Game 7. Yeah. And then the Cubs just found a way to pull it out in the end. I think for Chicago Cubs fans, it'll be an image that will last forever. The ground ball to Chris Bryant. And he smiled as he fielded the ball. He knew it was a play he was going to make.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's just so, it's like a great player, really a player who really hit the scene in Chris Bryant. Just smiling for the city of Chicago as a ground ball's dribbled towards him. And he gives it to Rizzo, and Rizzo throws the ball in his back pocket, and they celebrate at the mound. I mean, it was an incredible game. Like I said, there was kind of drama all over it because, one, it is a Game 7. But it was, the Cubs haven't won in 108 years. The Indians haven't won one since, I think, the 50s. So it was like, either way, a starving franchise is going to get one here. Yeah. And, it was the Cubs, and it was great. So I'm giving it to the World Series Game 7. Heck of a game played by both sides.
Yeah, definitely still a very good choice. And, that one, yeah, like you said, you had history on both sides, but I think people were a little bit, had a little bit of Cleveland fatigue going since they had started actually winning stuff. Yeah. And so I think most people at that point in time outside of probably the city of Cleveland were Cubs fans.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when that Game 7 hit.
And I even brought it up to my family. I was like, is it coincidence that the 30 for 30 documentary Believe One comes out, then a couple weeks later the Cavaliers win the championship, now the Indians are in the finals? I'm like, this seems a little too fishy for me. Yeah. But like I said, the Cubs deserved it. A lot of heartbreak went for those 108 years. So.
Yeah. And Bartman got a World Series ring out of it.
He did. Yeah. Which I think is very classy of the Cubs, because, I mean, that man probably lived through hell for the last.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. He had to go into hiding.
Yeah, he definitely did, like, directly after it happened. But you better believe that people were still Steve Bartman, and all this and that. And, for them to recognize, like, hey, we get it. We're happy we won. They know that he's happy that they won. The guy who probably has caught the worst break in that 108 years. Like, let's at least acknowledge him a little bit and say, hey, we forgive you. Let's move on. I think that's pretty great.
All right, guys. Up next, we're about to get into our most memorable moment. I'll go first, since Darnell just kind of brought it up a little bit ago. For me, it was the second half of the Super Bowl. The Patriots making that 28-3 comeback. At first, the Super Bowl was not worth watching at all. Just how Atlanta just started off and would just continue to just floor the Patriots. But you could never count out Bill Belichick coaching and Tom Brady on the field. So these guys pulled it together. Tom Brady had another one of his clutch moments for the Super Bowl. He helped lead the Patriots to a victory. So that was my.
Yeah, that that leads me to mine, so I guess I'll jump in here. That second half was memorable, and the cherry on top was crazy catch by Julian Edelman. Brady threw it to him. It was tipped by one of the Atlanta DBs, and the ball seemed to hang out for a while, and all of a sudden Edelman comes up with a fingertip grab with the ball like 3 centimeters off the ground, and took it in for a catch. It was just like, it was one of those times where you look at it and go, this is the most Patriots crap ever. Like, how did this happen?
Well, one could argue that moment happened because of the David Tyree catch.
Yeah.
One could argue.
They were finally getting some luck back off of that.
Yeah, a little bit. But, I remember when that Edelman catch happened, it's like, did he catch that? And then it went to the review booth, and you're like, oh my God, he caught it. You just couldn't believe that it actually happened.
I gotta be honest, I'm not much of a Patriots fan these days. I didn't even need a replay. I saw it, I was like, oh, he caught that. He caught that damn ball. He caught it.
Yeah. And then just that moment, that whole second half just seemed a little too surreal. Like, you're just watching them come back, and you're like, is this really happening? And, they always say in a Super Bowl, there's always one play that happens that almost seems too unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And it was definitely that Edelman catch. Just couldn't believe it happened. But I think we also need to give a small shout out here to the catch that Julio Jones made.
Yeah.
Because remember, he tiptoed the sideline and brought it in. And I think at that point, everybody thought, maybe this is the moment Atlanta steals it back.
Yeah.
Heck of a catch. And a lot of people say those are the two best catches in Super Bowl history. With, the David Tyree catch maybe being the, 1C catch. Because all those are incredible catches. But yeah, for my moment, I'm going to a moment a moment we talked about a little bit ago in the Alabama Clemson game, but that final second play that Clemson ran, that pick play, I just remember, seeing the ball snapped and seeing that the guy was wide open at the top of the screen running that little out route, just watching him walk into the end zone. You're kind of like, that's a great play that you can draw up with 1 second on the clock to have your guy secure a win. Like, he was untouched, walked in the end zone. Now, there is the controversy of the fact that, was it a pick? Was it not a pick? I'm totally cool with, there is 1 second left on the clock. Let it play out. Like, unless it is an obvious, we have to call it call. Yeah. I'm totally cool with the flags being put away, the whistles in the pocket. Like, let it be a defining sports moment. And, the fact that Clemson won it, I mean, I know, I guess we could say, a lot of people are happy, as a lot of people are sick of Alabama. But, I like the fact that game came down to the final second. I love the execution of a final second play, because let's be real, Deshaun Watson could have been so hyped that he saw a wide open guy that he overthrew him. Yeah. Or the guy could have been so excited that he had a clear lane to the end zone and dropped the ball. A number of things could have happened that could have made that a devastating moment. But the execution was perfect, and Clemson won their national championship.
Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else to add for our pick for this award?
All good moments.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Up next, we have the Fight of the Year award. Who wants to start off? Actually, Ty, I think you start off, because me and Darnell, we kind of got
I'll easily start this one.
Yeah.
Mine actually happened on a fight night. I remember I texted Trey, and I'm like, who the heck's this Korean zombie that they're talking about? And, Trey gave me a little background. This guy was a name in the UFC, and then he had to leave for Korean military duty. that is required among South Koreans. And he was coming back, first fight since his military leave, and dude was getting pounded. He was getting bloodied up. Thought he was easily going to lose this fight. But then he comes out of nowhere and knocks out, the other guy. And it was actually Dennis Bermudez that he was fighting.
Yeah.
And I just remember telling Trey, I was like, this dude is awesome. Like, coming off of a military leave, just having that be your first performance, like, that's awesome. So, I was like, dude, props to that guy, doing his thing for his home country, coming back, getting a fight, winning the fight, and coming back in the fight. Yeah. I thought that was super impressive. That was kind of a moment for me that was when I was still first starting to watch the UFC. So that's one of the first fights I remember. That one will always stand out to me a little bit. I guess I could safely say the Korean Zombie is my favorite fighter. So, that one has a little soft spot for me. So, that'll be my fight of the year.
All right. Darnell and I, we have the same one. It's Woodley and Thompson 1. Definitely not 2. That one was pretty bad. But, Darnell, I'll let you get into it. Woodley Thompson 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty hype fight. I mean, you had two guys coming in, Woodley coming off the high of knocking out Robbie Lawler, dethroning somebody that seemed like a cyborg and was unbeatable.
Yeah.
That was just built to take as much damage as you throw at him. And then you got Thompson, who was on fire with everybody with, different style, karate-based style, so where he's throwing lots of punches and awkward kicks, lots of kicks, more than most any fighter throws, outside of leg kicks. Like, he was throwing them all over. You catch him in the head and the waist and everything. So, you have a super athlete in Woodley. You have a very unorthodox as far as MMA as a whole fighter as far as Thompson. Like, it was just ready-made for fireworks, and we got it. Like, these two, they were leaving it all out there. They both had something to prove. There have been a lot of talk back and forth between them. Thompson trying to say Woodley's running from him, doesn't want to fight him and stuff like that. So it was just ready-made, and it lived up to expectation. They went back and forth. They were throwing bombs at each other, and they left it out there.
Yeah.
Happy watching that fight.
Definitely. Just to remember, people, this was a majority draw. It's 48-47. One of the judges scored it for Woodley, and the other two scored it 47-47. So that just shows, just how these guys were going at it. Just, you mentioned it, Darnell. I just love the styles of the two. You have Woodley, who can go out there, knock you out, and just a tremendous wrestler. And then you have Thompson out there, bouncing around on his feet, just kicking you everywhere, man. Just to knock you out with kicks, use those punches to set those kicks up and everything. So it was just a fun style. It's just a fun match to see these two use their styles and just go at it. They say styles make matches, and their styles definitely made that first match. So just remarkable to watch. I got to give you a shout out too, man. Another one that I was thinking about was you put me on Duho Choi. Remember, we was covering him for one of the pay-per-views, I believe, and he was like, "Yeah, man, we should talk about this guy. I seen him fight." And I was like, "Okay, I don't know nothing really about this guy." So it was him. He went up in there and fought Cub Swanson, and these two were just going at it. Cub Swanson, he did end up being the victor in this fight, but Choi, he's a young fighter. I'm going to be looking forward to see him fight again. I believe he was supposed to fight on a 214 card, but he got injured. But this is a guy that definitely going to be looking forward to down the road. Just how he was just taking those punches and also just delivering punishment to Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson's not a guy to sleep on by any means. So definitely going to be looking forward to see Choi back in the ring again.
Agree.
Yeah. All right, guys. Up next, let's just go right to Fighter of the Year. Who do you guys got?
Yeah. Do you want to go, Darnell?
Go with mine. Also went, tried to give credit to both sexes here. Every year went with, JJ, Ioana Jędrzejczyk. Pretty much just unstoppable. So, yeah, I don't know how you don't give her credit where credit is due. Fighter of the Year. My picks probably aren't popular with most MMA fans just because of the style they fight and weight
They don't
classes,
get marketed
but,
as well too, man. So you got to think of that. So
I agree.
Yeah. So,
but I went with Tyron Woodley and DJ, basically co-fighters of the year. I know everybody just jumped back on Johnny Bones' Bones, so
that's a good way to put it, man.
Yeah. But I do still feel like DJ is the best pound for pound fighter. I mean, he's pretty much untouchable in every fight he's had.
They search basically everywhere in the world to find somebody to compete with this guy, and he's dominating. So you can't. Yeah.
And Woodley, I mean, his last two fights haven't been the most exciting. He looked a little bit like a black version of GSP.
Yeah, that's what some people were saying.
He's fighting off of game plans and not like trying to go out and finish people or have an amazing knockout and put himself out there to get knocked out. But you know, he's clearly beating people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's having questionable decisions where he's eking out victories. I mean, he thoroughly beat Maya Saturday, where it was clear who the better fighter was. He clearly won the second fight against, even though it wasn't a pretty fight, and he did have the exciting fight of their first fight where amazing fight.
Yeah.
So I mean, just from the caliber of the fighters that he fought and he won all of those fights, I think he deserves some credit there.
Yeah. I agree with you on JJ. Well, just real quick, you didn't have anything else to add, did you, Darnell?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay. But
Trey, before you get going, I'll just jump into and say I'm right with you guys on JJ.
Okay. Well, yeah, I agree with JJ. Just tremendous. I wanted to give it to my girl Cyborg. I just want to see how she continues to make weight. Because like I said, she's a big girl. She has to, drop a lot of weight to make that class. So, JJ, her stand up and everything is just tremendous. Just goes into the ring, great conditioning. Guy has amazing hands. She can just hit you, bounce around and just do whatever, have her way with, her opponent. So, JJ, definitely my female fighter of the year. I gave it to Tyron Woodley. I was thinking about, Demetrius Johnson. But I gave it to Tyron, just because, he's just been a little bit busier, than DJ. Tyron has fought, basically, 4 fights, in a year span, going up from when he fought Lawler to, last week's fight. That was 4 fights in a year. So he's definitely been busy. He went out there, he knocked out Lawler. Which was tremendous. A lot of people thought Lawler was going to be the man that was going to be unbeatable, but he knocked him out. Had a tremendous fight with Thompson for his first one. Both those fights, he had an opportunity to knock out Thompson cold. He was very close. He rattled him pretty good. And this one, a lot of people was complaining about him versus Maya. I would have loved to seen him knock Maya out. But just one thing that I just found absolutely amazing about that last fight was this guy had a torn shoulder and stuffed every takedown from Maia. 23, defended 23 out of 23 takedowns from Maia. So that guy's no joke. The strength and just will was just absolutely tremendous. So I had to give it to Tyron Woodley just with his schedule. And, you beat Lawler, you beat Thompson, and Maia's no joke either. So you beat those guys. You mean serious business.
And to jump back in a little bit on that one, I think some of the issue with the Maia fight was because people still had a sour taste in their mouth from that against Thompson.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that part two, the second fight that they had, that was kind of making me lean towards DJ a little bit, but I decided to give it to him. But,
which I can get that, but I mean, it's just leading into the Maia fight. But like, I'm sorry. Like, if you're smart, you fight that way against Damian Maia, because if you leave yourself open for that guy to get you down, it's probably only a matter of time before he's got some kind of joint lock or he's got your neck and you look stupid. So
exactly, I wanted to talk about it, about him and Dana, but he was talking about it on an interview he had with Hawani. He was like, "What do people want me to do?" I was like, "I was clearly won the first 4 rounds. Like, y'all want me to go out there, get risky, try to knock this guy out, and he somehow catch me off guard, takes me down, and finishes me. Like, I'm not, I still want that belt. That guy's no joke. So he, like I said, to do that with that torn labrum is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Ty, you next.
Yeah, I guess since I'm not as well versed in the UFC as you guys are, I'm gonna give it to John Jones. And no, I'm not all over his bones. Just honestly, I think it's pretty incredible that he's able to come off a pretty lengthy leave from the UFC and fight Daniel Cormier with the ease that he made it appear. Daniel Cormier, I remember I saw his last fight and he looked great. He looked real poised to come in and make some noise against John Jones, and Jones put all of that talk to rest. Like, he said, "I'm sick of people thinking he can fight me and I'm going to end it." And he did. I wouldn't have guessed anyone to be, to not fight in the length of time that Jones hasn't fought, and win against a guy who has the belt with that much ease.
And the only guy to knock out DC. So
and I'll tell you what, that kick to the head had DC wobbling around that octagon.
Oh yeah, he looked bad.
Oh, I'll admit though, I'm a little shocked that the ref didn't step in a second soon. I'll say that.
Yeah. That was just giving the champion as much chance.
I agree. I agree, but I felt there was the kick to the head, then there was the body kick that sent DC down, and then I felt like Jones was on top of him for too long. But I agree, you do have to give DC at least the opportunity to get back up.
How DC was looking after the
he looked lost. He looked like he was questioning where he was, what just happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, DC was looking real poised going into that fight, and John Jones, without much discussion. Yeah. So I'll give it to John Jones. The premier weight class. Yeah. And I guess that's to the point you were making, trades like that weight class gets a ton of publicity, where Mighty Mouse, it's like, if you don't know UFC, you're not going to know who he is.
All right, guys. Anything else to add for the fighters?
No.
Okay. No Mayweather McGregor picks at all, guys?
Nope. No. And I still won't pick them after this one.
All right. Up next, we have the Coach of the Year. I'll just go. I have Bill Belichick. I just thought that, just with what he was faced with during this season, to start the season off, missing arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, and Tom Brady, for 4 games. The guys that he put in for his place, he made those guys look good. Just due to injuries, some of them he had to, keep switching it up a little bit, but his quarterbacks were performing well. He just has a good system built for his QBs. And then Tom Brady comes in there, has a remarkable season, gets everything going, and then just to finish it off with that 28-3 comeback for the Super Bowl, just shows great poise for Bill Belichick. So,
yeah, great pick there. Not many people can go 3-1 with a second and third string quarterback.
Yeah,
like let's be real. They had to start a guy named Jacoby Brissett, and they won a game. So, incredible stuff to start a 4-game stretch of the season. And I think you could even go one step further and give to that whole coaching staff. Josh McDaniels and, all the coordinators and everybody. I mean, everybody had to step in there, and they all did their job, and it was pretty great. For my coach here, I'm going to go Dabo Swinney. Back-to-back national championship games, overcame the hurdle that was Alabama. Great last-second play. I don't know if it was him who drew it up or not, but just he, in the post-game interview, you could just tell he was so proud of his guys and so proud, of Clemson, the community and everybody. And, I just feel like he is the kind of guy that players want to play for. Hearing him speak in multiple interviews, you just felt happy for him that he won a national championship, that he coached a great team to a national championship. And to beat Alabama just made it that much better for everybody else who doesn't like Alabama. So, I'm going to give mine to Dabo Swinney. I think winning the national championship in college football is one of the harder tasks out there.
Agreed. Both good picks by you guys. I thought hard about this one. Because, usually you want to give it to a coach that won a title. But I guess for me, I wanted to give some credit to a coach that I really don't like, and I've given a lot of trouble to over here.
Yeah.
So, it was getting close on the hardwood. I was thinking about this guy, and I was thinking about, you got Kerr, you got LeVar Ball with the AAU team.
I'm joking.
Curveball.
Yeah. But no, so I went with Mike D'Antoni. Just what he did with the Rockets this year was, he turned, like he took Harden up to another gear, basically made him an MVP candidate, and he made that offense lethal. Yeah. Still, they could use some defense. I won't lay off of that. If they could have played any defense this year, they probably would have been at least in the conference finals.
Yeah.
But I got to give credit where credit was due. I think he did an amazing job coaching the players that he had, because as I look at it, I don't think that roster was like super stacked by any means, but with Harden running the show and putting his offense in place, they were scary.
Yeah. Don't forget, he had Gordon. He had him get 6th man of the year as well, so he had that bench.
Yeah, I think when we watched him coach Phoenix, everybody was just amazed at what they were doing, that whole 6-second offense thing. But here, I feel like it wasn't really a gimmick. He actually coached players, and it didn't really revolve around a system. Like, there wasn't a gimmick here. This was legit coaching basketball. We're not going to try and outrun people. We're just going to use our athleticism, get down the floor, shoot a lot of threes, and make a lot of threes. And I think the job he did with Harden at point guard was phenomenal. I don't think you can question what happened there. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he handles Chris Paul this coming year. Mm-hmm. How he somehow either evolves his game or utilizes Chris Paul to the offense that's already a juggernaut. Maybe he can advance them to third in the Eastern or third in the Western Conference, maybe second in the Western Conference if they catch maybe a little bit of a down year from the Spurs or something. I don't know, but I think it'll be interesting to see what he does with the new addition of Chris Paul this coming year.
All right, Darnell's starting to like Mike D. So
I didn't go that far. I said I was giving credit.
All right, up next we have the male athlete of the year. I'll do this just to touch a little bit on kind of what I said with Belichick, but I gave it to Tom Brady just for his age. You see a lot of quarterbacks, specifically around his age, you really start to see a dip in their numbers. But he came back off that 4-game suspension that he was dealt, and really took the league by storm. Had a 67 completion percentage, threw for a little bit over 3,500 yards, had 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with a 112 QB rating. So, definitely his game to have a successful year, and then for him to, like I said, to come from that 28-3 first half in the Super Bowl and then win it. I think he just caught my eyes for him to just win the award.
Yeah, Tom Brady, phenomenal. Just to miss the first 4 games of the season and then play like an MVP for 12 games. He led that team to the Super Bowl. They fought for him those first 4 games, and he fought for them for the last 12. Yeah. Just a complete, and I guess I want to pick my words careful, but he's a complete pro. Yeah. There's a lot of debate over Deflategate, Spygate that he gets lumped into. Now, granted, Deflategate had more to do with him personally, but Spygate he got wrapped into and all that. But just a Hall of Famer, 5-time Super Bowl champ, I believe, or 4 times. Yeah, 5 times because Montana. Yeah, Montana. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's a great pick. For me, I'm actually going with KD. And the reason I'm going with KD, I know he wasn't the MVP of the league or anything, but I really liked how he adjusted to the Golden State power, I guess. We began the NBA season wondering what's he going to sacrifice, what's everybody else going to sacrifice. And it seemed like there really wasn't much that got sacrificed. It seemed like everybody just kind of fit in. Everybody was unselfish. Everybody was willing to push everybody else. And I think a lot of that had to do with KD's attitude and KD's determination going into Golden State. I think he had, a fantastic year. Now, granted, this wasn't one of his MVP years, but, I think in my opinion, this may have been his best year. His efficiency numbers were through the roof. He was doing a lot more on the floor with a lot less opportunity. He shot at a great percentage. He still had really good points per game. I even think his defense took a step up this year. Yeah. I think some of that has to do with playing under the Defensive Player of the Year, but, I just feel like his game still took another step, even though it seemed like he had to do a lot more team play rather than individual play. So I was just real impressed with what KD did this year. I really enjoyed watching him and Golden State play all year long. It'll be, once again, interesting to see what they do next year. But, I think what KD did was very impressive.
Yeah. Surely just showed his efficiency with just how great he is this year. For him to share with those guys and still just put up the numbers that he's put up. It shows how great he is.
Yeah, totally agree. Which is why I'm half agreeing with you. This is another one where I gave a but it's in the same arena. I did agree on KD, but it was mainly for
postseason.
Postseason.
The way he stepped up. Yeah, I mean, especially you get to the finals where he was matched up going toe to toe with LeBron. For that point in time, I'm still not on the bandwagon of saying KD is the best player in the league, but he was the best player on the floor during that series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anytime a big shot needed to be made, he made it, and that was with LeBron on him at a lot of those times too. Yeah. So you could see he was a man on a mission. He wanted to win that title, and damn it, he went and got it. But on the other half of that, it leads me back to the rivalry, and I gotta give Russ his due as well. Guy won an MVP. He put a terrible team on his back, got him to the playoffs, and he did something that hasn't been done in 40 years, averaging a triple double. So I mean, he took on a lot of responsibility and he handled it as well as you could think, being the only star on the team with really no other moving parts, and it showed when he was off the court. That team turned to garbage, and he even took on the leadership there to try not to cause division on his own team. Like I remember one of the press conferences where he basically wouldn't allow the media to ask about falls apart when he's off the court.
Yeah.
So, I got to give him some credit there. So basically I'm splitting the award there with those two.
Yeah. And I would definitely agree. I mean, I remember before the season even started, we all said that Russell Westbrook will screw around and average a triple double.
Yeah.
I don't think we saw the triple double record, but it was pretty phenomenal watching him go out and just every night make it look easy. Yeah. He'd almost have the triple double by halftime.
Yep.
Sure. All right, guys. Up next, we are about to get into our female athlete of the year. Who you guys are?
Yeah. I guess I'll go first here since you two are the same one. But even though we did pick in the same realm, which I'm a little bit surprised by. Yeah. But I'm going to go with Olympic swimmer Katie Ledecky. Won 5 gold medals and a silver in Rio. And it was great stuff to watch. She was winning, swimming events by body lengths. She wasn't winning it by seconds. She was winning it by, 8, 9, 10 body lengths. And, the fact that she was doing it at the age of 19 years old, is pretty awesome. Seeing her, set records, and, we're all saying she's not even in her physical prime yet. She might hit that at the next Olympics. So, I really enjoyed watching her, give it a go this year, win the 5 golds, represent the country. You always hear athletes say that there's nothing like representing your country, and to represent it that well, and as well as your guys's, winner, is pretty awesome stuff.
You want to take ours, Trey? Yeah, I'll take it. Me and Darnell, we both had Simone Biles. Tyler, you had a good one too. With Katie, but this one was Simone. I just enjoyed watching her, doing her things with the gymnastics. For me, I'm always, when it comes to the female athletes, I'm always big on Serena. But, with her, with the pregnancy and everything that she's dealing with right now, just also, really only get a chance to shout out the Olympic athletes, every 4 years. So, with Simone, what she's been doing, she won 5 medals with her Olympic trials in 2016. So, just was remarkable. really want to see what she's going to continue to deliver down the road. But, just very entertaining to see her.
Yeah, just to add a little bit, I mean, she was the crown jewel for that women's gymnastics team that pretty much dominated everything at the Olympics. They call them the Furious Five, Fabulous Five, something like that. But they were amazing, and she and herself, like, she was a head and shoulders above all of them.
Five.
So
even though she's
that's it.
Even though she's 4'9".
Yeah, she's short.
Yeah, even though she's very short,
still head and shoulders.
Short, but head and shoulders in the talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was amazing, and like Trey said, you only get the Olympics once every 4 years, so you definitely want to give notice to the accomplished there.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're about to get into our final award, which is Team of the Year. Who do you guys have?
I guess I'll start it off again. I went with the Chicago Cubs in 8 years, and they finally break through. I said, I don't know if I said it to you guys, but I said it to a couple of my other buddies. The Chicago Cubs winning the World Series will be the story of the decade for sports in terms of, a team story. Probably not, but, in terms of a sports franchise, I feel like the Cubs will have the story of the decade. Like I said, 108 years, that's a long time. The Cubs have had all those close calls. They've been nicknamed the lovable losers. It just seems like they've been the national team that couldn't do it. The team that has fans everywhere you go, but they don't have a championship to hold on to. And for them to win it in a Game 7, on the road with the rain delay, just adding to the drama. Season, when you're coached very well, you tend to play very well. And the Cubs just had all the pieces last year. I was happy to see them win, and I was kind of pulling for them. I mean, I didn't really care who won, but I wanted to see them win. And, I just couldn't imagine, even though I'm well on my way to waiting 108 years for the Lions, I don't know that I can imagine 108 years. That just seems like an awfully long time. That's a generation going through without seeing a championship.
Yeah.
I was happy for the Cubs. That was history, and that's why I'm giving them my Team of the Year.
I'll let you close it out, Darnell. I had to change the heart. I was going to go with the Patriots, just with, Brady and Belichick, but, every year with them, they're one of the favorites, to win a championship and whatnot. But I'm going to go agree with Tyler on this one, just with the Cubs, with that team. They were a team, a lot of people weren't really, picking them, huge on them, winning, the World Series. I was cheering for the Cleveland, to beat them actually, but, they went in there, caught a lot of people off guard and had that remarkable Game 7 on the road with the rain delay, and just found a way to pull it off, with all those years, they won for the city. So, yeah, I had to change the heart. I wasn't going to pick the Patriots, but, Chicago, what they, were able to do, and a lot of people just weren't, picking them to be that successful, last year. So.
Can I just say, of course you were cheering for Cleveland. Yeah. It seems like whoever everybody's cheering for, you want the other team to win it. Yeah. So, of course.
That's Trey.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Anybody who knows it.
Yeah. But, I agree with you guys. The Cubs are definitely a very good choice, for it. I didn't go with them, but, I could see why anybody would pick them, and I wouldn't argue about it. They're definitely worthy, and I feel good for the Chicago Cub fans that had to deal with all that flack of, being rooting for a loser and sitting in the stands like that. Like Ty said, we know about that, cheering for the Lions. But for me, I guess I'm the one that went with the juggernaut powerhouse team because I feel like they backed it up. But I went with the Warriors. Team goes to the playoffs only losing one game and having a point differential like they did basically every game, winning by double digits. I couldn't not pick them. I know people say that the deck was stacked and they did have a lot of talent on this team, but they weren't one of those. They did what they were supposed to do. And I just want to, give them that credit for that. Last year, everybody was able to mock the Warriors for going 73-9 and not winning the title. I want to give them the credit for going just blazing through the playoffs and dropping that one game in the finals. But that was the only blemish.
Yeah, and one thing about this Golden State team, I was actually, as I thought about it, I was actually more satisfied with the fact that they had 1 year where it was the regular season and next year where it was the postseason, because as you debate and argue and make a case, having those performances happen in different seasons only adds to the debate, adds to the argument of who is the best team of all time. It would be very boring if they went 73-9, basically ran their way to the finals, won the championship, and it's kind of like, well, you can't argue with that. Now it's like, we have argument, we have substance, we have clear debate that can actually happen. And for me, that's way more enjoyable than, they're the best. Here you can make cases, and all this and that. But, this year, Golden State, awesome team, awesome roster. That postseason was unreal for them. It was fun watching Cleveland try and keep pace as well. But, Golden State deserved to win the national championship, the NBA championship, talking college. But, they deserved it. They were the better team. And I think, even though you picked Cleveland, Trey, I think we all knew it. I think we all knew they were the better team. So, I'm totally cool with the better team winning, even though I like the upsets. I'm always cool with the better team coming through. Like you said, Darnell, do what you're supposed to do.
All right, guys. Any comments before we close this off?
Congratulations to everybody that won our fake award show.
Yeah, it's nothing, and will never get anything from us.
Yeah, there will be no hardware set out for this.
Maybe a Twitter shout out if I get bored this week.
Yeah.
Hey, KD, congratulations! You won my male athlete of the year.
All right.
He might respond, nah.
Yeah, like, who the hell is this guy?
Nah.
All right, as always, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. You can find this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud. Just hit us up in the search bar. We should be able to pop up. Also, check us out on Twitter at DKM_cast. Looking forward to hearing from you guys and everything like that. But as always, like I said, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Take care. Peace out.